Okay, so we are here at the Gallery Rundingan Baling 1955, and one of the reasons why this is a very special location is because it is actually the site where our first Prime Minister and the leader of the Communist Party actually held their negotiations, and is also a part of the local museum and has a few artifacts in regards to the history of this area. But you would definitely want to do this with a experienced and sanctioned tour guide, like even right now, because the location itself is in the middle of a school. I think it's Sekolah Sai Putra or something along those lines. So your tour guide would have to speak in advance with the principal right now. As you can see, our Hairul and also some of the people from Tourism Malaysia as well, Azman and Faiz, they're helping us out. Some of the things that you need to do if you want to check out this specific historical site, it's open to the public, sort of, but if you are planning to come here and experience the history in such a unique way, you would definitely need an experienced tour guide to help you move along the red tape, I guess.
So, sini adalah bangunan Rundingan Baling. Sebahagian daripada asalnya adalah bangunan sekolah. Bangunan bilik darjah sekolah telah dijadikan tempat sebagai Rundingan Baling. Okey, nama perkataan Rundingan Baling juga sebenarnya adalah satu isu. Bila orang kata Rundingan Baling tu, adakah satu rundingan? Normally rundingan adalah satu negotiation. Negotiation mesti ada sesi tawar-menawar antara satu pihak dan satu pihak lain. Dan Rundingan Baling ni melibatkan pihak kerajaan Malaysia, which is led by the Tunku Abdul Rahman, dengan pihak komunis yang diketuai oleh Chin Peng. Rundingan tersebut sebenarnya nak mencari satu persetujuan untuk mengamankan tanah Melayu sebelum mencapai kemerdekaan pada tahun 1955. So, tiada mana-mana kerajaan sebelum ni, believe me, boleh tengok catatan sejarah, kerajaan membuat rundingan dengan komunis. Tak ada. Rundingan itu pula dalam bentuk tawar-menawar. Sebenarnya tak ada. Jadi, sebenarnya isu yang dikatakan rundingan itu sebenarnya bukanlah satu rundingan. It's just like a talk. Perbualan balik, tapi rekod mencatatkan sebagai rundingan. Runding kalau kita kata negotiation, tetapi dalam perbincangan tersebut tak ada negotiation. Tunku Abdul Rahman kata kita akan bagi komunis pengampunan dengan syarat menyerah diri, dan kita beri pengampunan, boleh pilih sama ada nak balik ke negara asal ataupun menetap di sini. Dan pihak Chin Peng bila dengar cakap tawaran daripada Tunku Abdul Rahman, dia berasa frust dan juga marah. Kenapa tidak ada perundingan? Seperti seolah-olah Tunku Abdul Rahman menekan pihak PKM satu side pihak saja memberi tawaran. Dan sebab itulah Tunku Abdul Rahman menyatakan bahawa kalau ada perbincangan ini hanya sekadar apa yang kerajaan hendak sampaikan hasrat. Tak ada tawar-menawar. Jadi menariknya, rundingan ini berlaku selama 2 hari melibatkan 4 sesi. Perjumpaan keluar masuk 4 sesi 2 hari, dan akhirnya sebahagian daripada tentera komunis yang menyerah diri diberi pengampunan, tetapi yang masih kekal sebagai komunis, masih ada juga rundingan tu. Ada yang setuju, ada yang tak. Jadi Chin Peng dan juga beberapa tim yang lain tidak bersetuju, terus kekal di dalam hutan sehingga Malaysia mencapai kemerdekaan. Dan gerakan komunis masih berlarutan sehingga sekitar 1970 hingga 80-an.
Oh, so where are they based?
They based dalam hutan di Baling ni, sampai ke selatan Thailand. Sebab tu bila kita dah merdeka, kerajaan masih mempunyai askar-askar mengejar saki-baki komunis, sehinggalah berlakunya Rundingan Hat Nyai, yang which Rundingan Hat Nyai, di mana pasukan komunis 100% surrender.
That means they surrender to the Thai government, not us.
Tak. Dia di sempadan Thailand dan juga di Malaysia. Mereka di kawasan hutan, mereka mempunyai satu kawasan headquarters lah gerakan. Jadi kerajaan Malaysia buat rundingan dengan kerajaan di Thailand, Bangkok, untuk menghapuskan saki-baki komunis ni. Jadi satu perundingan dengan Thailand diwujudkan, dan kerajaan Thailand menjadi facilitator untuk menyelesaikan isu antara komunis dan juga Malaya at the time. So rundingan haknya lah banyak membantu supaya satu persepakatan dan juga keamanan dicapai, dan askar komunis 100% surrender, dan kerajaan Thailand memberikan komunis-komunis itu untuk menetap di selatan Thailand dan diberi tanah untuk mereka membangunkan kawasan kehidupan baru. Itulah ceritanya, end up there. That's why sampai ke hari nafas terakhir Chin Peng tidak balik ke Tanah Melayu, tapi meninggal di selatan Thailand. Lihatnya di kawasan bandar. So semua cerita tu bermula daripada sini, bangunan ini. 1955, 2 tahun sebelum kemerdekaan. Okay, kenapa pemilihan tempat ini menurut guru besar dan juga orang di sini? Kenapa dalam banyak tempat berlaku di Baling? Sebab Baling ni adalah satu kubu pertahanan komunis, dan sekiranya rundingan itu berlaku di sini, satu advantage kepada komunis. Let's say lah kalau kerajaan cuba menangkap ataupun rundingan itu jadi satu sabotaj, jadi komunis rasa tempat ini dah selamat sebab kubu mereka.
Oh, so Baling memang kubu komunis dulu?
Ya, sebab kawasan pernah jadi beberapa tragedi serang hendap komunis kepada pasukan keselamatan dan juga orang kampung. Sebab komunis terlibat dengan aktiviti pengganasan, sabotaj, penghasutan masyarakat untuk menentang kerajaan pada masa tersebut. So sebenarnya Baling bukanlah satu daerah terpencil di hujung negeri Kedah, tetapi penuh dengan sejarah keamanan tanah Melayu.
So during the times of the Rundingan, right, was the school a school or atau dia was it something else?
Yeah. Bangunan yang menjadi tapak kepada ini adalah bangunan classroom sekolah.
Oh, so memang guna classroom untuk buat rundingan?
Betul. Jadi Chin Peng dan juga komunis mencadangkan tempat tu di sini, dan mereka juga tidur dekat sini di dalam asrama sini yang disediakan tempat penginapan untuk 2 hari, 28 dan 29 Disember. Soon, another 2 weeks adalah ulang tahun proses rundingan, 28 dan 29 Disember. So inilah catatan sejarah ini. Sejarah ini diletakkan di bawah Muzium Negeri dan berlaku proses untuk renovasi dan juga baik pula. So di mana tapak kita di sinilah, hanya orang-orang tertentu saja dibenarkan masuk untuk proses rundingan itu berlaku. Antaranya yang ada dalam itulah Tunku Abdul Rahman di pihak kerajaan Malaysia, Tunku Abdul Rahman, and then David Marshall, iaitu Pesuruhjaya Tinggi Bisnes di Singapura, dan juga Mr. John dari pada Butterworth,
David Marshall?
David Marshall di Singapura, dan juga pegawai daerah Butterworth yang merupakan kawan baik kepada Chin Peng. Ujuk berlakulah runding itu berlaku.
Oh, I see. So ada influence yang kata like, okay, please negotiate, you know, stuff like we're a new country, apa-apa. Okay.
It's just macam middleman atau facilitate, sebab John, saya lupa nama John detail tu. Mr. John dengan Chin Peng dulu semasa perang dengan Jepun, mereka satu force angkatan hutan yang sama menentang Jepun. Kenapa komunis ni memberontak? Sebab bila Jepun surrender, dalam masa proses peralihan untuk British ambil, komunis nampak ruang-ruang untuk mereka boleh mentadbir conquer tanah Melayu di bawah pemerintahan komunisme. Sebab komunisme dah ada di Russia dan juga di China dan juga di Vietnam. So ideologi itu cuba untuk dibawa ke tanah Melayu dengan pemerintahan komunis di tanah Melayu. So itulah permulaannya bila komunis berpecah daripada kerajaan British untuk rule tanah Melayu dengan agenda komunis.
Wow. So some pretty interesting. Welcome back to those who are watching the live stream. We're actually unable to go inside due to certain renovations, and I did mention earlier on that the location is actually inside the school. Now, if you're wondering why it's inside the school, it's because there was actually a very important negotiation that happened on December 1955 between the Malaysia's first Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman and the leader Chin Peng of the Communist Party or Parti Komunis Malaya, PKM. Now, the thing is, Hairul was saying, you know, most people think that when we use the term rundingan or negotiation, that it was a sort of like a two-sided affair. Actually, it wasn't. It was more like the Prime Minister coming to the Communist Party and saying, okay, now that we're a new country, these are the terms. Either you leave or you join us in this new formation of Malaysia. Well, actually, at the time it was still Malaya, you know, but, you know, so the idea was because at the time what happened was the Communist Party was also very much involved in pushing out the Japanese, and before the British came in and took over again, we were a colony at that point in time, they saw an opportunity to come in and bring in the communistic ideas that was prevalent around Russia and China, because of that power void that was left when you push out the Japanese. And when the Japanese surrendered, there was a moment in time where they were able to come in and possibly dominate and install communism within Malaysia. But that wasn't so, and then eventually Malaysia became a country on its own, and that was the significance of that negotiation. And another reason why it's important is because Baling here, this location, was also the communist stronghold. It was their actual point, their base of operations. They were involved in sabotage, guerrilla warfare, terrorism and stuff like that. So as we know, that was basically their modus operandi. You know, they were mostly fighting in the jungles, and there were a lot of we as a newly formed country dedicated a lot of resources to pushing them back. And what happened was, it wasn't until the negotiations in Hat Yai where the Thai government actually that was actually, so I was looking for the word, actually facilitated the communists by giving them land and said, okay, don't cause any trouble. In a sense, I'm paraphrasing, of course, don't cause any trouble. Here's a piece of land, you can stay here in Thailand. And the communists never returned back to Malaya or Malaysia after that, as they have their own place to enforce the ideas and grow as a community. But that is the importance of this. And this is actually a school. Like, the negotiations happened in a school. Hairul was saying that they were here for 2 days. They actually slept, meaning the Prime Minister, they ate here, slept here. Both parties just coming to a consensus, with one side, Malaysia, saying that, you either join us or leave us, and the Communist Party saying, like, why did you even bother coming in? And then Hairul was also saying the only reason why Cheng Peng agreed to it was because of a man named John. We're gonna have to go back and I'll probably, if anybody from the studio knows the name of the person, maybe we can put it as a little text into the live stream. But this person was a friend of Cheng Peng, and both of them actually served together to push the Japanese out. And he was the middleman that convinced Cheng Peng to actually, sit down with the new Prime Minister. Let's see if we can work something out. It wasn't something that was an initiative of the Communist Party. They probably wouldn't even have thought of it in the first place if it wasn't for this middleman. Hence why this location is of important significance, and also a glimpse into a moment in time of one of the bloodiest moments in Malaysian history, which was Malaysia versus the Communists and the Communist Party.
So, atau nama lainnya Rundingan Baling, ataupun lebih tepat, more accurate is Baling Talks.
Baling Talks, yeah.
This is the building where the negotiation or talks happens.
Right. Actually, I also want to highlight just a little bit, like how important our battle with the communists were. So, Malaysia as a country, in terms of our military might, we are known for being jungle fighters, as in like our I think it's called the, I'm gonna get this wrong, I want to say Grahas, but that means special forces.
Special force.
So our commandos are the best in the world in terms of fighting in the jungles, and the only reason why that is because during the first few decades of our existence, we were constantly fighting the communists in the jungles to the point that we became specialists at it. So we may not have the best jet submarines, but darn well we have the best commandos in the world. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next location to everybody on the live stream. Don't worry, we'll be right back.
Next location, kita nak tengok bagaimana.
What is up, internet? So basically, I'm here at the Pusat Rekreasi Air Panas Ulu Lengong. Basically, it's the recreational park. Behind me are all kinds of hot springs and stuff like that. So there's actually two sections. So I was told earlier that this area is more of the kids section at different temperatures, and the ones for quote-unquote adults is on the other side. So this place has been in basically active since 1999. Quite funny, because I personally had actually been to this specific hot spring recreational park like when I was was, I don't know, 15, 16 years old, maybe around there with some cousins and my uncle and stuff like that. So it's actually great for me to be back here in Kedah, and it's actually quite fun. I'm going to be checking out this whole area, because it is nighttime. And the funny thing about this recreational park, it actually comes to life at night from 12 o'clock until 6. So it is midnight right now. Most of the crew is sleeping, but I'm just like, I'm gonna go and just go to this place. Don't know if you can actually see me. It's actually pretty dark, but I'm gonna dip my hand in just to see. Woo! It's actually quite hot. Now this area, I'm assuming, is the one that is super duper hot, because you can see the steam rising up. All that thing that's fogging the lenses right now is steam. It's right across from the one that I was at just now when I dipped my hand in. That felt like a hot shower. This one, even standing here, I could feel it's like boiling water. And obviously no one's in here. It's barricaded off. So this is probably like the real hot springs right here. Woo. Oh, I decided to finally go into the hot pool, and man, it feels like a hot bath. So highly recommended, especially late at night, because you get the cold wind coming in and you feel the cold on the outside, and finally you get in, you're just like, your body sort of get used to it, very healthy. Was it magnesium salt? Good for you. Highly recommend it to anybody who wants to take that couple hours drive to this place. Most likely I would recommend maybe rent one of the rooms here, because it is quite a long, windy road, but once you get here, it is absolutely worth it. And you can wear dry fit clothes like me, man. Nobody's gonna judge, because I ain't exactly rocking an athletic body, more like a dad bod. Back to you guys over there on the live stream, man.
Masuk gambar dulu, nanti I buat storytelling. Bukan senang nak sampai.
Itulah.
Kalau nak ni boleh tak apa, nak ambil gambar, nak ambil video pun tak apa.
Okay.
Ambil kecorak jalan ke tak ada apa.
Nanti semua bergambar dulu, nanti kita buat story. Tuan, beli gambar ramai-ramai.
Tak apa.
Beli gambar ramai-ramai.
Mai. Ni. Kita selalunya macam ni lah, duduk macam ni lah, selalunya lah. Kita. Mai tak boleh kat sini boleh. Sini boleh lagi ni. Mai.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested to visit to Memorial Tragedi Kroh ataupun Memorial Tragedi Pangkalan Hulu, so semua pelawat dikendaki, sama ada local ataupun foreigners, you are required to bring your own visa passport and also the border passport, especially for the northern region citizen, border pass to access here. And not only to visit here, you are allowed to visit the duty free. Itu prosedur yang ditetapkan oleh Jabatan Immigration. So kecuali untuk lawatan khas ke sini melalui kumpulan travel agent Apa yang perlu, menyediakan satu permohonan surat rasmi kepada Jabatan Immigration Betong. So kemudian anda dibenarkan untuk melawat ke sini. So ini adalah satu detik sejarah kepada keamanan dalam negara. You have to come here. So dekat sini produk-produk duty free, jangan lupa dapatkan harga-harga lebih murah kerana kawasan bebas cukai. Ada coklat, rokok ada tuan? Ada rokok, cigarettes dan juga barang-barang cenderamata yang lain di duty free. Betul. Jom.
Nak datang langsung ya.
So yeah, we're right now in the zone, the duty-free zone as well. So they're currently restocking some of the items. We literally came unexpected. So if you're like, there's no stuff on the shelf, they're just restocking it. They just got the new stuff. We came in quite at that awesome moment where they're trying to put new things on the shelves. So again, this is a fully duty-free zone. It's how do I put it? It's like a border town. It's like not exactly a no man's land, but sort of like a free zone where both citizens of both countries can come straight in and out. So that's why you can also check the memorial, and they also have these duty-free aspects here as well, just to make it more of a tourist destination. But once again, even if you're on the Malaysian side, due to recent regulations, be sure to bring your documentation, and a lot of this had to do with the recent pandemic. It's more like to control the borders, to make sure that nobody's coming in with any infectious diseases or anything, and that everyone's checked accordingly. And that is the only reason why there are procedures in place now, mostly for the safety of the public and peoples in general. It's something we have to live with, part of the new normal. But aside from that, it's amazing. It's an amazing little situation and place that you won't find anywhere else. Part of any tourist destination or your route as you're traveling in the area. So that's right, everybody, on the Penang Hidden Gem side as well as Tourism Malaysia North. Thank you for joining us on this live stream. We have reached the end, and I hope it has been very informative. It has been very informative for me as well, learning about my country's history and the backstory and the struggles that our brave police force, our brave men and women, the sacrifice they had done to keep our country safe throughout the years. And those who are part of our international audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, Malaysia has so much to offer. Please join us in Kedah and in Perlis, and go to all these lovely locations that we have showed throughout the past few live streams as well. Come on down, see Malaysia for what it truly is, the amazing gems that you will find here. Oh, and before we go, I wanted to show something a little bit extra. This one's special, a few seconds in. We're still continuing the broadcast just a little bit more.
So kalau dah sampai ke Betong, sinilah pintu sepadan antara kerajaan Malaysia dan kerajaan Thailand yang kita panggil pintu sepadan Betong di Pangkalan 2. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to border of Malaysia and Thailand. So this is the border between two countries, Malaysia and Thailand. So this is a great opportunity to to have a visit border of Malaysia and Thailand. Once again, these are the stone date bordering Malaysia and Thailand. So at that time we are not called Malaysia but Malaya. Malaya, Thailand and border. And once you get into Malaysia, you go into Perak. Doge.
And of course, real quickly, I wanted to show this. This is the border stone, the or Batu Sempadan, border stone of both countries. So we are right now on the border of Malaysia and Thailand. It's an amazing feeling. I don't know how to describe it.
Malaysia and Perak.
Oh, there you go. Right there. Malaysia and Perak. There you go. Oh, actually, sorry, it just says Perak. So basically, there on that side it says Thailand. On this side it says Perak. So we're on the border. We're still on the Malaysian side, but you know, amazing stuff.
What?
In the middle of prayers at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we're respectfully trying to keep our the volumes of our voices down. Especially me, I have a very loud voice.
Okay, look, what is so special about this wat? Sebab wat ni kalau kita tengok dia punya struktur agak besar, agak mewah berbanding dengan wat-wat tempat yang lain. Bila wat yang menggambarkan struktur yang besar dan juga desain yang cantik ataupun indah menggambarkan status wat ni very special ataupun bukan wat yang biasa-biasa. Kalau kita tengok kat luar, kawasan dia wat mungkin pada rumah ibadat yang biasa. Tapi di sini agak luar biasa, compound yang besar, struktur yang besar, desain yang cantik. Dan struktur ni yang bertingkat-tingkat ini seperti mahkota kerajaan Thailand yang dipakai oleh Raja Siam itu sendiri dalam bentuk crown yang bertingkat-tingkat. Okay. Kenapa wat ni menjadi persoalan berada di tengah-tengah bandar Mustaq di kawasan pekarangan istana? Sebabnya keliling ni majoritinya adalah kediaman orang Melayu atau Muslim. Tapi kenapa ada wat Siam? Satu persoalan orang tanya. Orang setempatan pun bertanya kenapa ada wat Siam? Sebab majoriti sini bukan orang Siam. Bukan orang Thai yang duduk. Jadi Jadi persoalan itu terjawab bila sejarawan menyemak balik maklumat kata Wat Siam ni dibuka sebab isteri-isteri sultan yang berketurunan Siam datang ke sini bukan berseorangan. Dia akan membawa dayang-dayang dan juga pengiring-pengiring lain yang berbangsa Siam ataupun beragama Buddha. Jadi atas keperluan tersebut, maka satu wat daripada kecil dibuka-buka sehinggalah besar seperti apa yang ada pada hari ini. Ceritanya permulaan bagaimana Wat Siam boleh berada di tengah-tengah kota Palestin.
Wow. So it's actually kind of funny. It's like most people were asking, why do you have the most elaborate, the most astonishingly decorated? What is it called? It's called what? It's called a what? And it's like it's almost designed like the kings, the Siamese kings, where their crowns have multi-tiered and stuff. And the reason why you have such an elaborate religious piece in the middle of a Muslim state was because a lot of the sultans, when they married Siamese royalty or princesses, these royal Siamese they came with consorts, and they didn't come alone. They came with their retinue, their consorts, their people, so their priests. So it was like a whole a community came along with them here, and to also make them feel welcomed and able to sort of express their faith. So buildings like these elaborate Siamese temples were built to accommodate their faith as they live here in Kedah. So pretty interesting as well, because this is really elaborate. I think we got some footages of that. So
Pelambangan dia misalnya so kalau Muslim dia pakai kubah masjid. Kalau Muslim, masjid yang kubah yang bulat itu ada satu pelambangan macam arash Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala yang maha besar. Kalau bangsa Thai, sebab tu bila dia punya crown ni pakai oleh king, Raja Siam ni dianggap seperti wakil kepada Tuhan mereka yang menjaga. So that's why lah bila kebanyakan pelambangan di Siam, di rumah-rumah ibadat mereka menggunakan tahta crown yang macam ni. Sebab tu seperti juga yang dipakai oleh dia punya Buddha. Gambaran di situ. Maharaja itu pakai pelambangan istiqamah. Itu dari masuk pelambangan dalam segi agama dia.
So there's a little bit of a cultural difference between the two. So when you have like the Islamic Malay royals, where their crowns tend to be more of a reflection of the one God being all powerful, and they are just merely his servants, as opposed to Siamese kings. They tend to be representations of the gods themselves. So hence why you see a lot of the pictures of the deities with the crowns. Their crowns match those as well, because they are, in their eyes, human representations of their gods on earth. So some pretty interesting cultural differences there.
Yang ni macam Bangkok, tengah bandar Bangkok memang look like memang besar-besar. Kalau kita pergi pekan-pekan kecil yang ada komuniti Siam dan Thai, dia akan ada wat yang kecil-kecil saja. Tapi kenapa wat ni agak besar dan eksklusif? Dia punya pensejarahan ini dikaitkan dengan istana Sultan Kedah. Tetapi disebabkan dia beragama lain dengan pemerintah, jadi tak digembar-gemburkan secara besar. You just develop by yourself dengan you punya komuniti and develop. So
they were yang develop. It wasn't like an official thing from the Kedah Royal. It was more like, okay, we give you a space, and it started with something small. Then they add. So it started with the small area. Basically, the king was like, okay, you have this area. You can use it to build your temples and develop your faith within that to make them feel comfortable here. And it started with a small wat, and eventually over time it expanded as their community expanded as well. And the reason why it's so big and elaborate was because of its connection to the actual Kedah royal family. And mind you, this was a marriage between two cultures, two warring empires, and this was the middle ground, where this marriage, where they would become one family and accommodate each other. And this was part of the accommodation, where they express their peace and love by accepting each other and their communities and their differing faiths. couldn't be any more different.
So yang utama yang asalnya yang ini, the rest pembangunan yang datang kemudian. Ini yang utama. Pintu gerbang dia dan juga dia punya kuil utama. Apa main temple. So yang lain macam dewan dia, lepas tu cremation area tu juga sendiri. Sebab orang tanya, kat mana ada orang Siam ke tengah Lustar ni? Ceritanya memang tak ada. Orang luar daripada Kota Besar datang untuk melawat dia punya Buddhis, dia datang sebab surrounded by the Muslims. Where it's come from. Cerita dia begitu. Slowly, after dia punya wife dengan anak-anak memang dah already convert, so dia punya pengira yang lain remain lah dia punya agama. So dia di sini. So kemudian tu mungkin yang balik semula ataupun mati tapi
Because a lot of people are asking, like, well, are there Siamese people here? And the answer is no, not really. It's mostly Malay Muslims. But especially till this very day, most of the people that visit here are visitors from out of Kedah coming in. And one of the reasons why it was so elaborate, you had these structures, was because part of I wouldn't say the marriage, but the relationship building between the Sultan and his wives was he didn't want them to convert into Islam straight off the bat. He wanted them to do it slowly and over time, and eventually they did. But this was like in the beginning when they were still longing for home and still used to how they did things back when they were growing up, and these are the remnants of that period where they were transitioning from one faith to another, being given time to do so. And as a result, we have these wonderful, majestic buildings, which has become sort of a tourist attractions for Siamese or those of this particular faith to come and visit in Kedah, despite Kedah, Alosar specifically, being just surrounded by Malay Muslims in the area.
Normally dekat dinding-dinding exactly the same macam apa dia di Bangkok, di perkarangan istana dia akan ada penceritaan melalui lukisan-lukisan potret. Itu pun sama seperti apa yang ada di Bangkok. So dia normally temple-temple yang ada penceritaan ni adalah temple-temple yang royal dia. Kalau temple biasa dia takkan ada penceritaan. So macam tu ada penceritaan, dia detail ada sambil dekat cerita. So saya teringat bila dia kata itu memang kisah-kisah menarik ataupun penjarahan dia akan decorate melalui gambar-gambar sebiji seperti apa yang ada di Bangkok. Sebab di Bangkok pun perkarangan istana dia menceritakan tentang descendant dia, keturunan-keturunan, cerita-cerita melalui proses-proses raja itu. Juga kat sini, mungkin di sini ni gambarannya menggantikan kisah perlayaran mereka Kristian tu dibawa ke sini untuk perkahwinan di sini, dikisahkan melalui gambar-gambaran yang ada di dinding-dinding. Ini boleh masuk nanti.
So these murals are just you would only find them in temples that are sanctioned by the royal family, and these are similar murals that you find in places of worship in Bangkok, not so much in Malaysia, but it's mostly because a lot of the people that built these, it also documents their transition from coming from the land of their home and into here. To them, this was their foreign land, and it's sort of telling the same stories and sort of in a way relaying some aspects of history as well. As you can tell, not all of it are stories about the deities. Some of them are actual stories about or records of the relationship between these two empires, as dark and as gruesome as it may be, but also at the same time it symbolizes how they in the end managed to come together and set the differences aside, bury the pain, so to speak, and then move forward with this marriage. So this was a symbol of a new age between two warring empires. If we look at it from that perspective, it's actually really beautiful, despite the bloody relationship that they've had, killing each other, enslaving each other. Even till this very day, we were talking last night about how there are actual families of like Kedah Malays who are displaced in Thailand. They were there because of slaves, and there are also communities of Siamese here. it was just horrible atrocities that happened on both sides.
Okey, bangunan asas ibadat ni diletakkan dirasmikan oleh Tunku Abdul Rahman pada 1998. Itu yang moden. Tapi sebelum itu memang dah wujud tempat ibadat dia orang. Tapi biasa je lah. Tapi as the time goes, dengan ada peruntukan dana, dia buat the proper one. 1968 Tunku Abdul Rahman. Sebab apa Tunku Abdul Rahman? Mak dia adalah Cik Manjalara. Cik Manjalara juga adalah keturunan Puteri Siam. So dia beri penghormatan Perdana Menteri daripada Kuala Lumpur turun sini ke sini, dapat warisan keluarga dia dan keturunan dia sendiri juga berdarah Siam.
Even Tunku Abdul Rahman, the founding father of Malaysia, our first prime minister, he himself was a royal and had Siamese lineages, hence why you have that plaque on the wall that says that it's an official building that is sanctioned by Tunku Abdul Rahman, Putra Al-Hajj, first Prime Minister of Malaysia, which is right there. I'm guessing that sign is like it's way back. It looks pretty ancient. So these are all not just cerita tentang deity dan Tuhan-Tuhan semua kan? Dia memang cerita tentang orang Kedah dan Siam. Sebab saya ada nampak macam
dia normally kotak-kotak ni dia menceritakan proses-proses yang berlaku. Contohnya proses-proses macam raja-raja berpindah, raja melibatkan peperangan. Selain daripada unsur-unsur ketuhanan dewa-dewa mereka, dia Siam ni dia akan menceritakan di mana-mana tempat apa. Kalau sekarang ni Wak ni ada di Kedah, dia menceritakan bila orang datang sini keturunan dia bagaimana proses tu, macam keturunan datang pada Bangkok melalui proses-proses pelayaran, apa aktiviti raja, dia akan digambarkan supaya kisah penceritaan itu sampai kepada generasi-generasi belakang melalui penggambaran, bukan melalui penulisan. Penulisan ada dalam buku, tetapi dia banyak mengkisahkan dalam penggambaran. Kalau bertanya pun sama ini, kebanyakan cerita-cerita Siam ni akan cerita kisah yang sebenar akan digambarkan melalui pelukisan.
These were actual true stories of what had happened, and they use it as a diary to keep track for future generations to know what happened. So hence why you see a lot of pictures of war and slavery. It literally happened. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say. It's when you realize that these are true stories that happened way before.
Dia tahan kalau boleh tak hinggap, kalau tak dia hinggap dia kena everything digambarkan. Dia dua tu sebab selain daripada Tuhan, satu dia orang yang Tuhan semua saja.
So this picture right here, yang ni, itu memang
sensitif ni. Kalau orang Melayu kat sini, dia tengok kisah peristiwa hamba-hamba Siam, dia semua tawanan perang. Siapa yang Siam berperang? Dia akan berperang dengan dua bangsa saja, iaitu Malaysia. Tanah Melayu di selatan, di sebelah utara dia adalah Myanmar. Sebab tu dia dengan Myanmar.
So the middle image here is one of the most sensitive because it's a picture of the war, and I assumed it was what Hairul had told us about how the Malays in this area used to be enslaved, and it is that literally is the depiction of what used to happen to prisoners of war or areas that were conquered where they were bound and then their ankles pierced so that they wouldn't be able to run away, and they were being presented to the king. And that is, of course, them warring with each other. So I could see how sensitive it could be for some of the locals if they realize the meaning behind the picture. But the problem is, it's what actually happened. You know, it is truth in these murals and stuff like that, but it was in context of future generations like us now, for us to remember history, and that is the importance of this. It's not pretty, it may not please everybody, but it's what happened.
Kalau raja dia jangan terlalu besar, sebab dia punya pelaman dia macam dewa-dewa baru-baru, dan dia akan menanamkan dalam fikiran masyarakat kebudayaan raja gambar raja kan ada, dan juga dia akan kita akan melalui proses gambar dia ada hamba, ada pekerja proses penanaman dalam dalam masyarakat. Sebab tu di mana-mana tempat majlis rumah ibadah, tempat-tempat dia akan meletakkan pensejarahan yang sangat kuat supaya generasi yang akan mahu, wow, how great they are dia punya kingdom yang dia punya kings. Itu bagaimana masyarakat Thai mendidik masyarakat. Cuma kalau tempat kita, kisah Raja takkan ada. Kita boleh dapat dalam istana dan juga museum saja. Tempat-tempat pendidikan macam sekolah, rumah ibadat takkan ada. Berbeza dengan masyarakat.
So diorang letak maklumat semua just out in the open macam tu.
Dekat mana tuan dapat sebab dia mengagungkan raja seperti seorang dewa ataupun anak kepada dia orang punya Tuhan. Pelambangan raja itu sendiri. Raja ini adalah macam keturunan ataupun yang bawa utusan daripada Tuhan. So dia memang mengagungkan. Jadi itulah proses pelambangan akan banyak penceritaan ataupun gambaran pemerintahan raja-raja. Macam gambaran kat sini lah. Kalau kita pergi buat yang macam ni, satu lagi ada penceritaan yang sangat detail ataupun pelambang seperti macam ni. Selain daripada di sini, kita boleh pergi tengok di Kelantan. Ini Kelantan pernah dijarah oleh kerajaan Konsintamarat, nama moden kerajaan wakil itu. Kerajaan yang besar, pemerintah Thai adalah di Ayutthaya, di Bangkok. Dia nak menjarah ke selatan, dia tak mampu sebab long distance. So dia ada wakil keturunan yang memerintah di selatan Thailand, iaitu kerajaan di Nakhon Sintamarat. Which is dia menghantar putera lelakinya memerintah di selatan. Satu kerajaan negeri yang kecil, raja yang kecil. So, jadi arahan daripada Bangkok pergi ke Nakhon Sintamarat, Nakhon Sintamarat akan membawa bala tentera menyerang di selatan. Dan Bangkok akan datang menghantar bala tambahan, tentera tambahan. So, begitu gambaran. So, selain yang besar ni ada di Kelantan. Sebab Kelantan juga dijajah oleh Raja Thai melalui anak dia yang berada di Nakhon Sintamarat.
Kelantan.
So Kelantan used to be under Siamese rule as well. Actually, in last night you mentioned that dulu Kedah the original territory sampai Phuket, right? So what he was saying was that the original people of Thailand were mostly based in the northern part. Apa was called Ayutthaya. The original Ayutthaya people were based in the north, and they didn't have the major resources to launch a large campaign to conquer the southern parts of which we were based in the southern parts, our territory, to conquer us. So what they did was, over time, they sent their princes to go to war first to conquer new territories for themselves, and they would then send reinforcements instead of launching a large campaign. So a lot of the times you have these new kings or new princes coming in and establishing new territories, and one of them happened to conquer all the way down to Kelantan, which is a state of Malaysia. Hence why you have pockets of Siamese communities there, because once upon a time it was Siam, for all intents and purposes. Before Siam was, of course, then Thailand. And in terms of the information, like a lot of the information about our royalties are found in museums, archives, but when it comes to the Siamese royalty, they tend to put it publicly on every places of worship like this, because to them, they've already deified their royalties. The royalties are next to gods in their eyes, and the story is told publicly in that form, unashamed, unhidden, and all their exploits, good or bad, are just for the whole public to know of, especially in places of worship, which were the centers of community. It's a very interesting thing that reflects the differences in our cultures. It couldn't be any more apples and oranges in regards to how we treat information, royalty, and just the act. And also get into the mind of why the Siamese conquered in the first place, and how they conquered it, and launched campaigns, and why they launched campaigns constantly attacking places like Kedah and Kelantan as well. So very interesting in that regard.
kelahiran Tun Mahathir Mohamad. Ni bukan, kenapa dia panggil rumah kelahiran bukan rumah Tun Mahathir Mohamad, sebab Tun Mahathir lahir di sini dan juga membesar. Once dia dah get married, dia ada rumah yang lain. So ni kalau orang kata bahasa lain ni adalah rumah parent dia, mak ayah dia. Okey. Inilah rumah asli, struktur kayu binaan yang ada beranda dan juga dia punya tiang rendah, rumah Melayu. Tapi rumah Melayu yang ada macam ni pada sekitar awal 1900 ataupun hujung 1800 agak mewah. Sebab apa agak mewah? Sebab bapa Tun Mahathir Mohamad adalah seorang guru besar, prinsipal sekolah tinggi. Jadi dia antara orang-orang yang cerdik pandai masa tersebut dan berkemampuan. So rumah kayu seperti struktur ini kalau pada masa tersebut kira orang yang berada. So jom kita tengok pada.
So we're here at the the birthplace of Mahathir, the house he grew up in, and Hairul was saying that Mahathir's father was actually a principal of a school, hence why during the time, if you had any position like a principal, you would usually have a big house like this, because that means that you obviously had more resources than your average Malaysian, because of how society was back then. So they usually would have access to bigger houses and stuff like that. And being a principal was a very important role, especially in that time frame. I mean, we've developed so far beyond that as well. And of course, Mahathir being a prominent figure in the political scene, as well as in the whole history of modern Malaysia as well. So this place is, I guess you could say, a little bit of remembrance of how things were like back then for him, and then now obviously things are significantly different.
So menurut cerita orang tempatan sini, Tun Mahathir most of the time dia akan spend masa di bawah rumah dia untuk aktiviti rehat ataupun melepak dan juga bermain. So kenapa banyak masa dia, favorite place dia adalah di bawah rumah, sebab bila dia nampak ayah dia balik, ayah dia seorang guru yang garang, so tiba-tiba dia lari ke atas dari rumah dan study baca buku. So inilah ceritanya. Di ruang inilah memori Tun Mahathir banyak menghabiskan masa-masa dalam usia kanak-kanak.
So apparently, when Mahathir was a kid, he likes to hang out under the house because he could see his dad come in, and apparently his dad, being a school principal, was very strict. So if he sees his dad coming, he'll run up and then look in the book and study. So
dia bawah dia boleh nampak ayah dia. But father's back, okay, they run out to the upstairs.
So Tun Mahathir sebenarnya nakal. You very naughty mate.
Dia tengok ada apa. Tengok ada personal collection sikit.
What's this? But ask me to help with the camera. Mama and Shank, we're all taking off our shoes.
Okay, look. Boleh bayangkan pada masa tersebut, this ada real furniture, tak ada ubah apa. So sekitar 1800-1900 dah ada macam ni. That means Tun Mahathir bukan kaya, tapi dalam golongan yang senang pada masa tersebut. See, dia punya accessories, furniture.
Middle class lah, so it's a middle class family.
Di sini bila ada bunyi memberi gambaran seorang boleh ada sign ada orang. Kalau kita tengah tidur ada bunyi.
Oh, so memang that is the purpose of
yes. Lepas tu menurut orang-orang arkitek juga beranda bawah ni orang Melayu mesti akan buat rumah tinggi bertiang. Sebab di bawah-bawah ni untuk haiwan peliharaan dan juga mengelakkan ancaman daripada binatang-binatang buas. Sebab dulu kita imagine masa datang kita dikelilingi dengan hutan-hutan belantara, binatang buas boleh datang, dan juga at any time kalau yang berdekatan dengan sungai ataupun laut akan banjir. So kebanyakan rumah Melayu memang akan rumah meninggi berbanding dengan sekarang moden semua dia akan di atas tanah.
So a lot of traditional houses, right? The reason why the floors creak is also, I was saying the architects, modern architects would say the reason is because it's also like a security alarm. You know, when somebody's creeping around, you're like, oh, okay, you know, there's a robber in the house, or, you know, my kid trying to sneak out. And it's usually built on stilts because back in the day, you know, Malaysia wasn't as developed as it is now. So you had all these wildlife coming out from the jungles, and also a lot of the times the villages were built near rivers, and things would get flooded. I mean, things still get flooded now, but imagine if you were in that situation, you would want to build your house a little bit above floor level. Ini dapur.
Ini dapur asli Melayu, mesti akan ada beranda. Ini adalah standard design rumah-rumah Melayu yang mana tempat untuk toskan barang-barang yang telah dibasuh. So dia akan ada bentuk macam ni, jeriji ni. So dia akan letak, so dia akan nitik-nitik air jatuh ke bawah. Ini adalah standard design rumah Melayu yang dahulu.
So this is the standard Malay house design of the kitchen. You know, you have your cooking area, where you dry your plates. Not only that, this is probably the kitchen that
very special account. Ramai orang pelancong tak tahu. Ini tak apa.
Oh, okay. What?
Kenapa dia ada jeriji macam tu? Okay, looks. Rumah design Melayu wujudkan benda ni supaya, okay, bayangkan bila malam orang takut nak keluar ataupun ada binatang-binatang buas. Bayangkan masa persekitaran kita yang pelbagai hutan dan sebagainya ada binatang buas ataupun bahaya ataupun malam. So memang purposely design tu dibuat macam ni untuk aktiviti membasuh pinggan mangkuk semua. Air tu akan dibuang. Ada tempayan air, so air jatuh ke bawah, lepas tu dia akan tos, dia akan kat situ. Itu yang pertama. The second one, ada juga bahagian-bahagian macam ni dia buat di dalam rumah-rumah, sama ada di ruang bilik ataupun di ruang dapur untuk mandi orang mati, mayat. So air dia akan jatuh ke bawah. Itu rumah Melayu lama. Tak semua orang tahu fungsi yang itu. Okay?
An old drainage system. That's essentially what it was. You just pour the water out after you wash the plates, you know, and then sometimes you have it in the rooms because you might want to wash for the ritual of a funeral. Usually during a funeral you have to wash the dead body.
Tempat ni ayat betul.
So buat ada satu lagi, kalau orang Melayu mati nak mandi kan, dia akan sini air. Kalau orang kematian air mengalir bawah, kalau mandi bawah. Dia akan sign signal kepada orang yang tidur di rumah tu, intruder ke atau ada pencuri ke, siapa yang masuk ke rumah.
Siapa yang balik lambat?
Siapa balik lambat?
Siapa pergi mana? Dia keluar sini.
Ada pepatah Melayu kata bagai melepaskan batuk di tangga. Apa maksud dia?
Lepaskan batuk di tangga. Cough at the stairs.
Okey, batuk tu apa? Okey. Perumpamaan melepaskan batuk di tangga. Saya nak share. Batuk di tangga, orang Melayu kata, kita rasakan lepaskan batuk. Batuk kat tangga. That is not the batuk, real batuk. Okay, batuk lepas di tangga adalah macam ni. Budaya masyarakat Melayu, bila kita keluar Jalan balik ke rumah, sebelum naik ke rumah pantang orang Melayu, you kena bersihkan diri. Bila bersihkan diri, sebelum naik tangga, dia mesti ada satu tempayan. Betul? Dia ada tempayan yang akan isi air. Isi air kita akan cedok, basuh kaki, baru kita naik. Itu Malay custom. Dan pencedok, yang mencedok air dalam tempayan itu yang dipanggil batok. B-A-T-O-K, seperti tempurung bulat, yang bulat tu untuk cedok air, gayung tu, itu yang dipanggil batok. Dan kenapa dipanggil bagian melepaskan batok di tangga? Perumpamaan tu adalah bila dia basuh kaki, batok tu supposedly dia return, dia letak dekat tempayan balik. Dia pop, dia tinggal sini, lepas tu dia naik. Itu yang kata bagian melepaskan batok di tangga, buat kerja yang tak sempurna. Kerja yang sempurna, kembalikan kepada barulah kemas. Ini dia asal boleh letak, tinggal jalan. Itu dia katakan bagian melepaskan batuk di tangga.
So that okay. So batuk is the
Gayung
thing
dia.
the gayung that you take the water. So when somebody says batuk letak di tangga, macam you buat like you're not doing a good job lah. Yeah. You do something like it's haphazard, just like
Yes.
sebenarnya kena letak balik.
Letak balik baru
put it
kemas.
back.
Okay. Miau. Okay, habis. Sampai.
Oh, okay. So basically, Hairul would have to use the restroom. We'll be going for a quick break. Right back. See you guys on the live stream. Thank you for joining us on Facebook.
So just like what we told yesterday, terusan Muhammad Saman memberi kehidupan kepada negeri Kedah sehingga dia jadinya negeri Kedah sebagai jelapang padi. Dan not only that, istana Tuanku juga dihiasi dengan simbolik pokok-pokok padi. Okay, yang pertamanya, yang di pagar itu strukturnya adalah rantaian pokok-pokok padi. Ukirannya dan ini pokok-pokok padi. Pagar juga pokok-pokok padi, dan itu bunga padi yang serumpun kita kumpul. Jadi bentuk seperti itu. So kebanyakan di simbolik semuanya adalah berasaskan padi di negeri Kedah sesuai dengan jelapang padi. Okey, kita tengok dekat dia punya tongkolok. Tongkolok yang saya cerita semalam, tongkolok dendam tak sudah yang dipakai oleh Sultan Negeri Kedah sekarang ni, dan cucuk-cucuk yang terletak itu adalah simbolik seperti padi. So inilah istana anak bukit menggantikan istana di Kota Star yang baru. Istana lebih moden, lebih luas, lebih besar untuk kediaman rasmi Tuanku dan juga kerabat-kerabat.
Place where we belong, and now the moment has come, the starting of a brighter, brand new dawn, rediscovering our land and the special places that we love. Take me back to your embrace. Cuti Malaysia, cuti Malaysia. be Malayan.